These aren't your normal dice. They have up to 20 sides.
I think DMs need to change their perspective on D20 rolls, and if they do, they'll make their games way more fun and take a ton of pressure off themselves while doing so. You see, a lot of DMs out there look at D20 rolls in D&D as a roll that simply decides how successful the PC, player character, is at doing something. It is binary. If the PC wants to jump over a chasm, there is a DC, a difficulty check, to beat, and if they beat it, they make it over the chasm. If they don't beat it, they do not make it over the chasm. It's on and off, ones and zeros, binary. In fact, the rules as written in the current edition of D&D pretty much say as much. It says that if you roll a D20 test, you compare the total to a target number. If the total of the D20 and its modifiers equals or exceeds the target number, the D20 test succeeds, otherwise it fails. But in my experience, that is not how more experienced DMs handle D20 checks, not ability checks at least. There are actually 3 types of D20 rolls in D&D: ability checks, saving throws, and attack rolls. Well, there are more, but those are the main 3. Attack rolls and saving throws are binary. Do they hit the number or not? Yes, no. These rolls are usually tied into predetermined numbers on character sheets and stat blocks, and are trying to be balanced and fair, so DMs don't really mess with them as much. Ability checks, however, that's not the case. Most of the time in ability check, the DM is making up the DC on the fly, and usually the go-to blueprint is if a player is rolling a D20 to do something easy, the DC would be less than 10. Something medium, 15. Hard, 20. Very hard, 25, and nearly impossible, 30. That's right, if you want a roll to be hard or very hard for a PC, you want to be putting the DC between 20 and 30. I have to start making my DCs harder. So the DM decides roughly how difficult this thing would be to succeed at, and just throws a number out there in the moment. And this is kind of what triggered this video in the first place, because I've seen a lot of DMs out there who genuinely believe that when they run their games, they're being unbiased and fair. And the big one I always see is that they let the dice decide what's going to happen next. The players do something, the world reacts the way it was always going to react, and that's the outcome. And honestly, I believe this is incorrect. I don't like saying stuff like that because every DM is different, every table is different, you play the game how you want to play, you have your own DM philosophy. But in this scenario, the idea that every roll a DM gets a player to make is fair and just how the world reacts is kind of BS. And I think it actually holds a lot of DMs back and can make for some really controversial decisions that can ruin sessions. So there's 3 things I want to talk about quickly. Ways of looking at a D20 ability check, a classic roll that may be a little bit different to how D&D rules as written show it. And when you look at D20 rolls through this different lens, I do think your rulings and adjudications will become way more relatable and appreciated by players. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that there is no such thing as a fair, unbiased roll. The dice do not decide what happens next. The DM does, always, like period. When I hear a DM suggest that they are just a referee, that they're just a middleman between the dice and the players, look, I get it. You know, it's nice to think like that. Maybe that is like a Wizard of Oz style curtain between the DM and the players that keeps the magic alive. But the truth is, as much as the dice decides what happens next between 2 or more options, the DM decides what those options are. If the DM is just trying to be as logical as possible, deciding how the world reacts to the players after they succeed or fail a roll, well, the DM created the world, and it is the DM's subjective logic making the decisions. Dice may decide what happens next, but the DM chooses the options, chooses the difficulty, chooses if a player gets advantage or not, and hell, chooses if the player even rolls, right? They can just let a player succeed on something. The DM is not the middleman between the die and the players. The die is the middleman. DMs hold 95% of the power in a D&D game. The dice barely do anything. They still do something. There is a level of uncertainty there. Unpredictability, but the DM has them on a really tight leash, and when you realize that and lean into it, it actually takes a lot of pressure off you, because you don't always have to make the right decision. There's not always a correct adjudication, and you can start steering the game more using the dice to get to the places where you and your table are going to have the most fun. Make no mistake, you are driving this carriage, not the horses. The horses may pull and tug in random directions sometimes. Maybe they can even accidentally pull you off a cliff if you drive too close to it. But you're the one going so close to the cliff in the first place. In this scenario, by the way, the carriage is the D&D game, the DM is the driver, and the horses are the dice, if that wasn't clear. Also, the players are like passengers in the back, just throwing directions at you. I think that metaphor works. Like the video? And this brings me to my second thing I want to talk about, counting dice. The DM can count dice like someone counts cards. They can stack the dice in their favor to increase the chances of certain results. Sometimes they can even stack them in a way where there's almost for sure going to be one result, such as making the player roll with a stat where they have a -5 modifier to it, then making the DC for the roll 23, then giving them disadvantage. Like, they could succeed on that, but let's face it, they probably won't. Understanding this as a DM means rather than just seeing what the dice do and reacting to that, you can actually use statistics and the dice to reach your goal as a DM. Whether that's telling a great story, having your players crawl through a dungeon and barely survive, or just creating funny moments with your friends, you can use the dice to increase the chances of you reaching that goal. This isn't dice fudging, it is just simply making educated guesses and decisions. That being said, having the dice being unpredictable, having them being swingy, not being in full control of them, can be fun too. You can always try to set the DCs at a place you think makes sense. You can also choose to barely ever give out advantage or disadvantage, and you can just see what happens. But you've got to remember, that is still a decision by you, a DM. You're still in control, but counting dice will eventually come in handy. Knowing a player character's modifier before you ask them to roll, giving them disadvantage or advantage to help them or hinder them, and knowing that statistically, just for an example, if a player goes unconscious and makes death saving throws, you know they're more likely to succeed than fail, just because of how the game works. All those things will allow you to put them in situations that feel more dire to them, that feel more epic, and also allow you to pretty much avoid total party kills if it doesn't feel justified in the moment. But the fun thing is, even when counting dice like this, things can still go wrong. Players can make wild decisions, and nat ones can still happen. So you still do have a little uncertainty, a little unpredictability. But the idea that as a DM, you're just letting the dice fall where they will and whatever happens, happens, I don't buy that. If a player character dies, I don't think it's entirely on them and their dice. I think you put them in that position in the first place for that to happen, and you should have known that that could happen. And hopefully, that character death is good for the story, at least how I DM anyway. I'm a story-driven DM. And I actually think there will be some DMs out there who adamantly disagree with this here. And I actually do want to hear from you in the comments, because I think this probably will rub some DMs up the wrong way. Like, it goes against some DM philosophies. But once again, everyone is different. There's no one way to play the game. But I think occasionally stacking the dice in your favor will make for a better game. So do get in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion about this. And that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about before I get into some last piece of advice. And that is the fact that most people do not play D&D rules as written. Most DMs out there don't roll ability checks in a binary way. Success or fail. This happens or this happens. Most DMs out there actually use the homebrew hack of nat 20s and nat 1s being an auto success or an auto fail, with the best possible outcome happening or the worst. Meaning a success with a 19 gets one outcome, but a nat 20 is still a success with a different outcome. So when you get a player to roll a d20, there are at least 4 outcomes: success, fail, nat 20, and nat 1. But a lot of DMs take it a step further by rolling on a full scale. Meaning if a player rolls very badly, something very bad happens. If they roll badly, something bad happens. If they just fail the roll, something not that bad happens. If they just succeed, and so on and so on. And what this does is turn the whole idea of ability checks on their head. Because this is no longer, are my stats high enough to do this thing? But it becomes, how does the world react to me? How well do I do the thing? What out of 8 things could happen because of this roll? You roll a nat 1. So a bird flies into the engine of the airship you are in as you try to succeed on flirting with an NPC. How does my ability to flirt with an NPC affect the engine of the ship? What does that have to do with my stats or ability? It was an ability check. Well, it's got nothing to do with it, but it's fun. You failed so hard at flirting with the captain of the ship, a bird decided to try and take its own life and yours in the process. It saw you through the window and cringed so hard, it just had to end it all. And I know a lot of DMs run their games like this. I know I do. But the truth is, it's not rules as written at all. We're actually combining a binary ability check with something like a luck roll or a fate roll, where we just roll a d20 to try and figure out what happens in the environment. Now, there are some DMs out there who will roll on a scale and still keep everything enclosed within the actual ability and attempt of the PC, but the point is, rolling on a scale is fun and it can lead to way more outcomes. And if the idea from earlier in the video that the DM has way more power over the direction of the game than you thought bums you out a little bit, rolling on a scale adds more unpredictability back into it. The DM is still deciding potential outcomes, but with so many more of them, it's much harder to control. The DM can still stack the dice in a way that will help tell what they think is a good story, but the way that story unfolds becomes way more all over the place in a good way. Now, I want to finish the video with 2 big tips I've found that really helped my games recently when it comes to D20 rolls. The first is to tell your players the DC before they roll. It genuinely builds trust between you and gives them a number to try and beat rather than just having them roll aimlessly and hoping it's high. Most importantly, it stops them from rolling high, getting excited, then finding out they didn't roll high enough, then being disappointed. No one likes that roller coaster. And the second tip is to occasionally ask your players what they think the outcomes of rolls would be. Ask them what the worst thing that could happen for their character could be, or what would be funny, or a twist that could happen on a success or fail in this role. This includes the players in a way that they may not be used to and gives them a chance to really collaborate in the storytelling. And it actually means, as a DM, you can just not think as much at that moment. Make the players do it. That's a secret hack in general, by the way. For if you have a player, who keeps trying to trap you by making you come up with silly names on the spot for NPCs that you just randomly created, just ask that player to name them instead. Watch them squirm for once. Anyway, I hope that's all been food for thought. There's actually a ton of complexities in just a simple D20 roll, and there's so many different ways of doing it that I just thought this would be a fun video topic. But yeah, thank you for watching.